Cool. We so got. All right. I'm going like 5 seconds live. I had a random thought. The rich and the potentially rich. So when I was a little teeny tiny, like 9, 10 years old, I had somebody come and tell me that the potentially rich or the rich concerned, they do not concern themselves with bills or debt. Why? You got food, clothes, shelter, and all your necessities. Those who are programmed, they're going to be programmed into this concept of paying bills and being in debt. You receive a bill in the mail. It says you owe $1 billion, but you only got $500,000. So you go into immediate stress, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual stress about the situation. The reality of it all is a piece of paper, and everything attached to it is a piece of paper. So do you go into a deep depression and a breakdown? No, you really don't. You really don't, because the potentially rich or rich are not concerning themselves with that. So before you get rich, you're not concerning yourself with that. So for instance, you owe a phone bill. You can go crazy and say, "Oh, I owe this phone bill. I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you this money." Because society has us set up to this concept of it's an irresponsibility not to pay the phone bill. No, it's an irresponsibility to put myself in debt to the phone bill when there's several other phone companies. That's the irresponsibility. The irresponsibility is that I'm going to take and put myself into debt to continue to have a phone bill. They're gonna get paid regardless. These are the facts. If I don't pay a phone bill, it's 1.5 million other individuals that's going to pay that same company their phone bill because they're under stress. I'm not under stress. I'm just going to another phone company. This is just a concept. I'm not saying this is what I do personally, but this is just a way of thinking. I'm just going to go to another phone company. If I do happen to be in debt, I still save money, still held on to money, still held on to wealth, still stack my shit up. And by the time you here to bother me, I got so much motherfucking money that it doesn't even matter. This is control. Can you control or they control? When a piece of paper or a bill can put you under extreme stress, then you no longer have control over your reality. When you realize that it's nothing but a debt, I'm gonna stack my money up. By the time you get to me, I'm gonna have 1.5 billion. You could take that. I don't care. It's not even gonna be a pinch off my shoulder. Then you realize how reality actually works. It's a mind game. It's a wicked mind game, but it's definitely a mind game. So they say, "Oh, you're gonna lose this, you're gonna lose that if you don't do this, if you don't do that." Yeah, I might lose this, I might lose that if I don't do this and I don't do that, but I still gain this, and by the time you get to me, I still can pay you off, and it's not a pinch off my back. So this is how people have to think. People get concerned and they get worried and they become stressed. And that stress brings illness. That stress, those concerns bring illness. It brings physical breakdown. We're not supposed to attach to that, so I don't. And so I don't suggest that you do. I'm not saying irresponsibility. Society says irresponsibility is not to pay a phone bill, not to pay a debt to a corporation that's not real. It's not a human. Irresponsibility is not to pay a debt to another human, not to a corporation. So we have to look at that. This is random thoughts, and this has nothing to do with, you know, tarot cards are bombed on. This is random thought. Irresponsibility is to neglect the debt to another human being, not to a corporation. When we become stressed because we cannot pay a debt to a corporation that's already wealthy, then we're retarded. That's a retardation. That's the issue, and I don't even like that word. We stress over not being able to pay a debt to another human being. This is things that we have to think about. In turn, this gives agreement to human beings' power versus to corporation. Period. If I have a corporation and you owe my corporation debt, I don't give a fuck. You owe my corporation debt. I'll open another corporation. People have to think. And this is what goes on in the conglomerates of the upper classes of reality. We don't stress over those things. We should not ever stress over those things. It's not an irresponsibility. Irresponsibility is that, oh, I'm going to neglect something for me so that I can proceed to have a situation with a corporation that's not even a human being. Who cares? There's another corporation doing the same thing. So people have to think like that. That's what brings wealth and prosperity. It's not an irresponsibility. I learned that like 2 years back. I was not saying I learned it 2 years back, but I was reminded 3 years back. It's not an irresponsibility at all. The program of feeling that you are irresponsible because you did not pay something to a corporation, that's irresponsible. You're not even human. I could care less about you. But anyway, these are things that we should think about. And that's why there's 0 views, but it'll be views later, so I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces, it is me, NBT Sky, you already know. I do, actually.